everyone, it's Angel Baby 357 with a new video. And I have my farmer shirt on. We're still farming thanks to the rodeo I got at the rodeo. It was really cool. So today we're going to learn how to knit a kitchen towel. My boyfriend sent me some cool yarn that I didn't know what to do with for a while for my birthday, and this is it. It's 100% cotton and it's perfect for making beautiful kitchen towels. So we're going to knit those because when I crocheted them, I didn't like the big gaps because I feel like when you're drying your hands with a kitchen towel, you want it to get all of that water and stuff off, and the gaps just didn't seem right to me, so it just wasn't, like, I just didn't like it. So we're going to knit it. We finished one up together, the last stream. This is the towel. It's got a little latch with a cute little button. And this is what we're going to knit. We're going to make it 16 inches long in length because the pattern calls for 13 inches without the tie. But when you scrunch it together after you've knitted it, you lose 3 inches here. And that's what happens. So this yarn is, it is Peaches and Cream. It's 100% cotton. This is the Christmas edition. And it is a size 4.5 knitting needle hook. You can wash in the washer, do not iron, and do not put in the dryer, tumble dry, or air only. So that's that. And yeah, so that's the yarn that we're going to use by Peaches and Cream. I keep the yarn tags in my spool and I forgot it was there. I just put them right in the center so that I never lose them again. And we have a Halloween version, which I just haven't made yet, so I just stuck it right in there. And I have a spooler, which I can't get off of my desk, but I have a heavy duty spooler, a large size one. And I might put that in the link below on YouTube for you guys to be able to find the spooler. This yarn is a Walmart only yarn. I believe Peaches and Cream is Walmart only, so if you want this, go to your local Walmart. They should have it. He bought it before Christmas though, so Christmas is here. Everyone's building Christmas stuff, so you might not be able to find it this time of year. But there's also another really cool one for making towels, which is... Just give me 1 second, guys. Let's go get it. That's towels, blanket yarn. Here we are. Which is this one, also made by Peaches and Cream. I believe that's who made it. It's a nice big spool. It's Halloween yarn. I tried to make a few pumpkins out of it, but it's really best for towels. It does not flex very well. 100% cotton does not have any give to it. So you gotta keep that in mind, and it will take longer to make because you have to be patient working with 100% cotton. It's not like, let's say this, which has nylon in it, and it's got this nice stretch to it. So it stretches really good. Yeah, cotton doesn't stretch like that, so you gotta be a little patient. So that one's a 25% nylon, 15% rayon, and then 75% cotton. Some weird mix like that. Actually, I have the spool right here. Yeah, it's 70% cotton, 30% nylon. So that's this one. It's Lucky Ball. I ordered 2 spools to make myself a scarf with. We'll cover that in a later video. Hey, BIOS! So yeah, if you want to make yourselves a nice kitchen towel, get 100% cotton. I recommend it because anything else won't dry your hands as well, and it's just gonna still be wet. Unless you just want one for good looks, then use whatever you want. But we like our towels to be practical in this house. So this is what we're making. Got your cute little button. If we don't finish it before Christmas, I do apologize, but we will finish it together. And knitting can get very quiet, so if it gets quiet or awkward, we'll just turn on some nice ocean music and we'll just build it together. And I might work on it a little off camera too. Okay, so this is my little extra piece that I was saving so that when we go to finish up, I always save the long strips that you have left over. You could use those to like tie on the button or whatever you need to do, so always save those. Also, this is good for making cute coasters. Yeah, it's a little flat because I forgot I do everything backwards. So I go left to right instead of right to left. So I accidentally forgot to flip it to the other side and then continue, so my bad. But we'll work on our coasters together. At some point I'll learn. But yeah, it's good for making coasters because it absorbs all the water. There's no water sitting on top and it takes longer to break down. So you have a coaster for a lot longer than when you make them out of acrylic or polyester. Those break down really, really fast. I've made a few of them. They're already in the trash. It was a waste of time unless you're making them for like when company come over and you want it to be beautiful and pretty and like just a few uses. Those are great. But if you want to use it every single day, go with Kind. Alright, so we're going to get this out of our way because we're not going to use that one. And I'm going to teach you guys the old-fashioned way of cast on. We're not going to use our tail. There is a slingshot method where you use your tail to cast on. And remember, I'm left-handed, so everything will be backwards. If you're right-handed, needle goes in this hand, use this thumb to cast on. If you're left-handed, go in this hand. So you're going to hold your needle just like a pencil. And then we're going to take our string, wrap it around our thumb like that. And then you're just going to hold it in your hand like this. So you have both pieces. And then grab this one. And I have to redo that. So you have your hand like this. String goes over finger. And you go like that. Now that I'm thinking about it, I can't do it. Hold on. There we go. Yeah. But first one, the not. I had a brain fart for a moment. Like, I could not remember. So, like I said, I just started learning this. So, be patient. So, we got our slip knot. And then we're going to do exactly what I just showed you. Thumb over through fingers. Slide up your slip knot. And then just slide it through. So, thumb over. Pull it over like that. And then slide through. So you're just going to do that as many times as you feel needed. And once you get the hang of it, because this isn't that weird thing where you go like that and then like, no. I don't believe in using your tail to cast on. And I'm going to tell you why. My grandma who used to knit, who tried to teach me, because I'm left-handed. I never saw a left-handed knitter. I never saw anyone crochet left-handed. We didn't know anyone. I tried to learn, but since I'm left-handed, I could not figure out how to do it backwards. It wasn't till lately when YouTube finally started getting some left-handed knitters and crocheters on who are ambidextrous. They don't hold their tools the same way a true left-handed person would, which is fine. But it was just enough for me to be able to figure out how to do it. Now, my grandma who used to knit always said never use your tail for anything. And this little piece here is your tail. And she said that if you do, this end will come unraveled. Now, I don't know why the new people do that. It's fine. You could do whatever you want. But I've just grown up with a different outlook on how it should and shouldn't be done. So, I never use my tail. I will not get out extra length to use my tail. I just do the old-fashioned cast on, which is wrap around your thumb, stick your needle through, and pull tight. And I just find that much simpler. You get the right amount of tension because you could pull it as tight as you want or as loose as you want. My grandma also used to crochet too, so when you go to knit, she would hold her yarn just like when she crocheted to control the tension. She never used her needles to control the tension, which is what a lot of people do now, which is fine, to each their own. But I've always just learned to control the tension with my hands when I crochet, because I do both. I crochet now and I've learned to knit. And so I only know the knit stitch and the purl stitch, but I'm sure over time I will learn plenty more. Now these are going to take up a lot of space when you go to knit them, so you want to space them out. Get down here, and we're just going to space them out nicely. And just make sure that we have room, because I don't have my wired knitting needles in. So make sure that we have space for each one, because like I said, I don't have a pattern. We're going off of what we know how to do. And now we're going to add more. And you gotta remember that in between each stitch there will be a new stitch. This is your cast on row, and when you go to make a stitch, there will be a stitch filling in between each stitch. So when you go and you cast on, you want to pull them out as you cast on, so you can make sure that you have enough room for all your stitches. Just make sure that you got a good gap system in there. Okay, so that looks like it's enough. And if you don't like it, you can always take it off, because this is just a basic knit stitch. It's nothing fancy. Sorry, my yarn was rolling around on the floor because it fell off of a box, so I was just curious. So, you have this little V here. We're going to put our needle, we're not going to complicate this, put your needle through the V. Just like that, right through it. Then you take your yarn and you just slide it over and in between. Now if you crochet, hold your yarn just like you would to crochet. Okay, that's my tension right there. And then you pass through, over and under. And I kind of cheat a little, which is my grandma used to just slide everything up, up, jam it all together, and then you slip, keep going up. Then you just slip it off. Make sure to hold with your other finger this end piece so that it doesn't slip off on you. So now you're going to have a little stray looking buddy right here. He's going to be all lonely at the moment. And then you're going to have your little gap string. Now you're going to just go through. Now, like I said, I crochet, and my grandma used to too. Go through like that. Swing over. I have the desk in my way, so yeah, it looks a little awkward. Swing over, under, and then pass over. And that's all you're going to do. You're just going to go in between that stitch. Which, if you made them too tight like I did, it's going to be a little difficult the first time. Just squeeze it in there. Pass over. Let me slide all these up. And through. You want to make sure that you're going in between that little notch there. And yeah, that's really all there is to it with the knit stitch. It's pretty simple. After a while, you'll figure out how you like to hold your knitting needles, and it will become like butter. Just going one after another. Now, let's say you just have your hook in one hand and your yarn in the other, and you just wrap, turn, and pull back out. This one you have two knitting needles, so it's a little bit different. But for the tension, I just do the same thing I would for the tension. Now, let's say I'm working, right? And this slips off. Oh no, my little friend ran away. Now I have this big old gap. Well, quite simple. Wrap it back around, just like that. And now you have your little V. You could go back through and knit and slip. And now you have your little knitting needle, just like that. If you want, and it's the beginning, you could just restart the whole thing, because it might look a little wonky. It doesn't come out right. And also, we accidentally knitted in our tail, I think, or we snagged someone. See this little spot right here? See how it's got some string hanging out of it? We don't want that. That means I snagged it at some point with the needle. So there's no way to fix that but to restart. So you just pull it all off your needle and pull tight. Just like that. And we're just going to start with our slip knot. Take your needle, slide it in, pull your tail tight, or your working yarn, whichever one pulls tight. And then you're going to wrap around your thumb and just go again. If you want to write down your pattern, I would suggest writing down how many stitches you had on there. I don't even know how many stitches I had, so I can't write it down until I'm done deciding. But yeah, starting the thing is pretty easy. Just make sure that your stitches all stay in a row. What time is it? I have to go at 5, everyone, to take care of the chickens. It's farm time. Now you can go all the way up to the end of your needle if you want your project to be longer and your needle is not long enough. I personally don't recommend it because I've done that, and then my work is constantly falling off my knitting needle, which is such a pain in the butt because then you lose your stitches. So we're just going to squish everything back up to the front. And I figured out what I forgot. I forgot to pull my working yarn tight and my tail tight on the first stitch. Oh, and thank you, BIOS. So we're just going to start with our knit stitch. Don't let this little guy fall off. Then we're going to pull this tight, reset, and just go now. Now, I don't throw my yarn, is what people call it when you actually throw your yarn over. And that's when you don't hold your yarn like this. So I take my yarn and I stick my needle in between here, which sometimes can be difficult. I stick it in between, I slide it back down when needs to be, and I'll take my yarn and just loop it with my needle and pull it through, and then go under and over and slide off the hook. That's just the way I do it. Other people who knit, which I can't even do it because it's such a habit for me, they'll put their needle through like this and then they'll wrap their yarn or consider throwing your yarn, and they'll just leave their yarn hanging here and then they'll pull it over and then slide it off. But I don't like the tension that leaves. I guess I'm just a picky person, I don't know. But I don't like that, so I always have wrapped my yarn in my hand, just like crocheting, and I have the tension under control with my hand. I don't rely on my needle to hold the tension, because then if you have more tension in one spot than the other, your stitches are not going to be even, and if you're giving it to someone else, you want to look the best you can, or if you're selling it. So I always strive for good quality and good quality products, just that way. And you also will feel good when you have a perfect product out and there's nothing wrong with it, or no stitches loose or missing. I don't have any examples. I thought I would, but there's no missing stitches on the towel or on my scarf, so I don't have a way to show you what missing stitch looks like. But it's basically a big old hole in your project. It won't destroy your project. You can keep it for yourself, because the yarn isn't like crochet. It's not just going to come unraveled from missing a stitch. But I don't know how long it will last in the wash. So sometimes I accidentally slip under. I'll make sure that you don't do that because then you'll pull your stitch off. If you do, you can get it back. But you gotta make sure you go through. It's easy to catch though because you won't be able to go through your work, like around your work when you go through it. Let's say I go under it and I try and twist over, your needles will get stuck. So when they get stuck like that, don't force them, go back, and then just make sure you went through your work. Or that you didn't pick up go through the yarn. Because you definitely don't want to do that. That will not end well. Now, if you're making a knitted project and you are used to crocheting, when you go to knit, let's say you have 2 spools of yarn and it's enough to make a lap towel. Or a lap blanket, I should say. Not a lap towel. A lap blanket. Well, that's now enough to make half of it. Or maybe not even half. Because when you knit, you're making tight knit stitches like this. And you're using a lot more yarn. So if you need 5,000 yards to make a blanket, you're now going to need 10 to 15,000 yards to make a blanket. So think about how much heavier that blanket's going to get when you're building it too, because each spool has weight to it. So the more yarn you use, the heavier it's going to get. So when you're picking out your yarn and you want to make something like, let's say you want to make a polyester afghan, you know, like the one I built that's black and white, it's gorgeous, you know, but you're going to have that on needles and with a wire. That is going to be really heavy for that wire and really heavy for you to hold up the whole time. So you have to think about the weight of the project. So if you want to make one with a big, fluffy, beautiful polyester yarn, I suggest you do 10-inch squares by 10 inches. Or you could do 11 inches and then 13 inches tall and make it a bunch of rectangles. It's all up to you. I don't have a pattern for any of this. I do plan on writing some of them down because I have been looking for some decent patterns. Oh, there's a ladybug hanging the light. Okay. I've been looking for some decent patterns myself, and a lot of people are like, oh, just do it till you feel comfortable. And I'm like, I would like exacts though, because I already don't know what I'm doing. So I would like everything to be the same size when I'm done and when I finish. So when I'm done building a few things, I'll get back to you guys. Hopefully I'll count my stitches, see what I start with, see what I end with, and let you guys know. But everything I'm making is a knit stitch right now. And this one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41. This is 42 stitches. If you go to make your own. Make sure not to use my tail, that would be a disaster. And we've got everything all scrunched up to the top. Turn it so it's face down. And time to go. Alright, so I've made a small error here. You can see this little strand of string. We're going to take our knitting needle. We're going to scoop up this little bit of string here because I snagged a piece. I'm going to slide this up. The whole project. Slide it up towards the top, and we're going to very carefully slip it over and then just let it go back into place where it belongs. And now you have your towel. Now mine's a little bunched at the end because I put, like I said, you could put too many of these on, but it's okay being bunched as long as you get your height. It will just be a little bit wider. Just make sure that you're not too bunched so that you can't stay on your needle. So I have about an inch of space. If I were to pull that up, I still stay on my needle. So when I stop, so if you're just setting down your project just for a second, you're going to come right back to it. You can always take your needles and just wrap your yarn around it and then set it down so that you don't lose your spot. But if you're going to, let's say, go in the car with it or something and you want to go somewhere, if you buy this set, which has everything I need to get started except for a pair of scissors, if you buy this set, it looks like this. I have OCD, so my knitting needles are like size 5, size 6, and then I have like the 2s, 3s, and 1s over here, and they all have their own little pocket category. And then with this set comes you've got your measuring tape. I personally don't like these ones. I have a spiral one somewhere with the little button. You have your little stoppers, which you can use to count your stitches. You got a big stopper. This is a gauge for your yarn, so it will tell you what size knitting needle to use. You put your yarn through the hole. If it fits through snug, not with extra room, that's the size knitting needle to use. You got your downling needles. You got some counters. I have different counters I use because I like to break those by accident. And then you have your knitting needle stoppers, which it looks like I've already lost 2 of them. But that happens. And you just put them, if I had work on both ends, I would put one on here, and stick it on there nice and snug. And this thing, not going anywhere. So that's how I stop my projects when I want to walk away, so that, let's say someone snags and comes over, my yarn's not going to come off my needle. Because trust me, you'll be very sad when it does. There's no saving it at that point. You gotta start over. But there is ways to save it if it doesn't all come off and your loops don't come out, which I will show you later. So yeah, that's the end of the video today. I hope everyone enjoyed. If you're left-handed and you wanted to learn how to knit or crochet, I hope my videos are helpful to you guys, because I had one heck of a time trying to learn, because I just hold everything differently. Like, see if I have a crochet hook. I'm allergic to metal, so I don't use these. Like, a lot of people hold their crochet hooks who are right-handed like this. I honestly don't even know how I hold mine like this. Like, I just do. Okay, because I'll take, let's use my sample yarn. I take my yarn, and I do my slip knot backwards too. Okay? And I tie it on, and I hold my yarn in this hand, and then, see, I'm just awkward. I'm backwards, see? So that's how I hold my crochet hook, is to the side and up. So I'll hold it up or I'll hold it to the side, but I never hold mine like this or like this. It's just when you're left-handed, that's awkward, so I recommend you hold it like this, just like you would a pencil. Hold it with your whole hand, it's easier. And you might have to get specialty crochet hooks, but when you get right, you could just zoom right up your chain. Look at how fast that builds, and you don't have to worry. And if you need a longer hook, they sell them on Amazon. You can buy longer hooks. My boyfriend got me a nice quality set, which is super awesome. It's longer because I do use more of the handle in my hand than someone who's right-handed who holds theirs. I believe that they said they hold theirs like this, like a pencil. So they only use 2 fingers. Meanwhile, I'm using like my whole hand. You get it. So it's just different for if you're left-handed than if you're right-handed, which is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you are struggling, just comment in the comments below and I'll see about making a video just for how to hold your hook and how to, you know, go through those things, because even stuffy building is quite challenging. Everything is backwards and your inside is now your outside because you are doing it backwards. So yeah, that's it for everyone. Thank you for watching. I hope I'm able to help anyone who is left-handed to learn how to knit, because I know I am definitely struggling finding some videos or learning how to do it backwards. Even though it's the same thing, but backwards, it can still be hard to learn. So yeah, I hope you all had a good day. It's Angel Baby 357 signing off.